Welcome to my channel Veterans Legacy. Today's story isn't just about an aircraft. It's about pride, silence, and one man who carried the spirit of every warrior who ever served. So sit back, and let me take you to a U.S. Air Force base where a jet refused to fly, until a forgotten veteran touched it. It was a hot afternoon in Nevada. The sun burned over the tarmac, and the air shimmered with heat waves. The crew was frustrated. An F-16, one of the base's most vital aircraft, sat motionless under the sun. The pilot was pacing. Mechanics swarmed around, wiping sweat, flipping through manuals, and checking systems that refused to respond. The jet was dead. No lights, no hum, no response. A major inspection was coming up, and this F-16 was supposed to fly in the next air show, a tribute to fallen airmen. Every minute lost was pressure on the team. "Power units fine," shouted one young mechanic. "Then why the hell won't it start?" barked the captain. Silence. Only the distant sound of jets roaring above broke the tension. That's when a voice came from behind them. "Maybe you're listening to it wrong." The crew turned. An old man stood near the hangar door, gray hair tucked under a faded cap with the Air Force emblem barely visible. His overalls were old, stained with oil, and his walk had a limp that told a story of years spent on flight lines. "Who let this guy in?" one of the young mechanics muttered. The old man ignored the whisper. He walked closer, slowly, like he'd been here before. His eyes, though tired, were sharp. They didn't just look, they studied. "I used to work on these birds," he said softly, his voice steady but filled with something the crew didn't understand. "Mind if I take a look?" The captain frowned. "Sir, this is an active base. We can't just..." But before he could finish, the pilot, Captain Davis, stopped him. "Wait, what did you say you worked on?" The old man smiled faintly. "Fighting Falcons. Back when they called them Block 25s. Spent 20 years keeping them alive." Something in the way he said it made the air still. "Name's Robert Hale," the old man added, extending a grease-stained hand. Captain Davis froze. "Wait, Robert Hale, the Chief Hale." The crew looked at one another. The name seemed to hang in the air like a forgotten legend. Everyone in the Air Force maintenance world had heard stories about Chief Master Sergeant Robert Hale, the man who once fixed an F-16 mid-deployment during a sandstorm in Iraq when others had given up. The man who could hear what was wrong with a jet without even running diagnostics. The old man just nodded. "Used to be." No one said a word. Then the captain gave a small nod. "Sir, she's all yours." The old veteran walked up to the silent F-16. He laid his hand gently on the fuselage, like a doctor feeling a pulse. The sun reflected off the metal, but his eyes were somewhere else, in the past, perhaps, among the brothers and sisters he once served with. He crouched down, listening to the faint clicks from the power junction, his fingers tracing the panels as if he were reading a story written in steel and circuits. "Mind getting me a torque wrench and a flashlight?" he asked quietly. One of the young mechanics, still skeptical, handed them over. Hale didn't rush. He moved with a calm rhythm, every motion deliberate. He unplugged a cable, rechecked a fuse, tightened a terminal, and tapped a small component with the handle of the wrench. Then he leaned closer to the cockpit and whispered something under his breath. No one could hear it clearly, but one mechanic later said it sounded like, "Come on, girl, you've still got fight left." He stepped back and nodded. "Try it now," he said. The pilot hesitated but climbed into the cockpit. He flicked the master switch. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, a low hum. Lights flickered. The instrument panel came alive, glowing like a heartbeat returning after death. The engine coughed, then roared. Everyone froze. The F-16 came to life, its turbines spinning with renewed strength, the kind of sound that makes your chest vibrate. The old veteran just stood there, arms crossed, eyes steady on the jet he'd brought back to life. How did you do that?" one young airman stammered. Hale smiled faintly. "She was grounding out from a loose bonding strap behind the EPU. Diagnostics wouldn't catch it. You've got to feel it, not just read it." The captain shook his head in disbelief. That's impossible. We spent 6 hours on that connection." The veteran looked at him. "Sometimes, it's not about fixing the plane. It's about remembering what it was built for." The words hit deeper than any technical explanation ever could. After the jet ran a flawless systems check, the captain turned to Hale. "Chief, you just saved our schedule. You still have it." The old man chuckled. "It never leaves you, son. The hands might shake, but the heart remembers." He turned to walk away, but Davis stopped him. "Chief Hale, stay for the air show tomorrow. You deserve to see her fly." For a moment, Hale looked torn. His eyes drifted to the horizon, where the sky met the desert, the same sky he'd watched for decades. He nodded. "Yeah, I'll stay." The next day, the crowd gathered. Families, cadets, veterans, all waiting to see the F-16's thunder into the sky. The announcer's voice echoed across the base. "Up next, Falcon 2, restored and ready thanks to the dedication of our Air Force ground crew." No one mentioned Hale by name, but everyone in that hangar knew who made it possible. When the F-16 roared down the runway and lifted gracefully into the air, Hale stood in the back, hands in his pockets. The sound shook the ground, but to him, it was the sweetest melody he'd ever known. He closed his eyes for a moment. In that sound, he heard voices, his crew from decades ago, laughing, shouting, fixing, and flying. One tear slid down his cheek. A young airman standing nearby noticed. "Sir, you okay?" Hale nodded, smiling faintly. "Yeah, son, she just remembered me, that's all." After the show, the pilot landed and ran toward Hale. "Chief, she flew smoother than ever. I've never felt her respond like that." Hale laughed softly. "That's because you listened. Planes are like people, Captain, they respond when you respect them." The crowd started to leave, but the pilot gathered the crew. "Everyone, attention." The mechanics and staff turned. The pilot looked at Hale and saluted sharply. "Chief Master Sergeant Robert Hale, thank you for your service, sir." One by one, the others followed. A dozen salutes in perfect formation under the setting sun. Hale's eyes glistened. He raised his trembling hand and returned the salute. It wasn't about recognition. It wasn't about pride. It was about belonging. After all those years, the sound of respect was louder than any jet engine. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, Hale sat on the edge of the tarmac, watching the sky fade into orange. A young mechanic approached him. "Sir, I didn't believe in all those stories about you. But after today," Hale smiled, looking at the horizon. "Stories keep us alive, kid. But what really matters is the work we do, quietly, when no one's watching." He stood up slowly, adjusting his cap. The base lights flickered on behind him, and the F-16 shimmered under them, alive again. He whispered one last time, "Take care of her." Then he walked away, into the evening light, his shadow stretching long across the tarmac like a memory that refused to fade. And that's the story of the veteran who brought a dead F-16 back to life. He didn't do it for fame. He didn't do it for medals. He did it because he loved what he stood for, and what those wings represented. The next time you see a jet slicing through the sky, remember, behind every flight, there's someone who gave their soul to keep it flying. Thank you for watching Veterans Legacy. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to honor the unsung heroes who keep the legacy of courage alive. Because their hands built freedom, and their hearts still keep it flying.